Cowboys defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers 35-30. You're watching the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. Hello and welcome to the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. Dallas Cowboys get it done against the Pittsburgh Steelers by a score of 35-30 here on Sunday afternoon, NFL Week 10. And I had the Cowboys winning this game, and oh, so close. But for some reason, and I understand why a little bit, but for some reason the Steelers decided to score with 42 seconds left. They decided to score a touchdown, and I knew from that moment, man, they were going to lose this game because you can't do that. You can't give an NFL team in 2016, especially a team like the Cowboys that have shown an ability to go down the field and win a game at the end of the game, you cannot give a team 42 seconds left with 3 timeouts. You just can't do it. And that's what the Steelers decided to do, and I don't understand why. And it's another incorrect pick for me and a horrible week of picks for me. When it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, this is a great win for them. Their 8th straight victory. Dak Prescott had a up and down first half. I mean, he was missing some receivers, missing Cole Beasley on a number of plays, actually. But then in the second half, man, he was Dak Prescott. And we've seen it time and time again this season. In the second half is when Dak Prescott plays his best, especially in the fourth quarter and overtime if they need it. And, man, he played great in the fourth quarter. And they didn't need overtime because, man, this guy was absolutely sensational. I mean, just finding Jason Witten time and time again, finding Dez Bryant for a go-ahead touchdown, leading his team down the field really on 3 drives in the fourth quarter. Just huge drives for touchdowns, and they won the game ultimately. It's a great game for him. And I've been on the record saying, you know what, I would start Tony Romo just because I believe Tony Romo has a better chance to lead this team to the Super Bowl than Dak Prescott. But at this point, I don't think you can go back to Tony Romo. I think Dak Prescott's the guy. I mean, at this point, when you go to Pittsburgh, you beat a team that I still think is going to be in the playoffs. You go to Green Bay, you get a victory there. I'm not sure. Was that game in Green Bay? I think it was. He just winning all the games you expect him to win, and now you've won 8 straight games. I think it's time. Yeah, you got to start Dak Prescott the rest of the way. Maybe in the playoffs, when the playoffs come, he has a horrible game and they lose. But at this point, I just don't think an argument for Tony Romo can be made. They just went to Pittsburgh and got a huge victory. In the fourth quarter, he led them time and time again to go ahead. Dak Prescott is now the guy. Ezekiel Elliott had a great game today, had the go-ahead touchdown to win the game, and he continues to have a great rookie season. I know they were talking about at the end of the game that he could break the Eric Dickerson 1,808-yard rookie season record. That ain't happening. I think he's going to finish with probably 1,600, but 1,800, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to start letting up on the gas pedal a little bit as they enter the playoffs late into the season, but he's definitely going to win Rookie of the Year, and he could win MVP. This MVP race is going to get very interesting. The problem is Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott are kind of going to cancel each other out. When you look at the voters, just think about it from the voters' perspective. There are some voters that are going to really respect what the Dallas Cowboys are doing, okay? So of those voters, I'd say 50% of them are going to like Dak Prescott and 50% of them are going to like Ezekiel Elliott, and that's kind of going to cancel each other out, and then that may allow Derek Carr to sneak in and win it, or Tom Brady, if they, give Tom Brady enough respect for what he's done in the limited amount of games he's played to win it. So unfortunately for these two, they're kind of canceling each other out when it comes to the MVP thing, but regardless, they're playing great. The Cowboys are their best team in the NFC, and they have a chance to win the Super Bowl, and that is something that not a lot of us thought. Skip Bayless certainly did, but not a lot of us thought before the season. When it came to Dez Bryant, this was a great game for him, and it was a game that he needed. He needed to get on the same page and just have better chemistry with Dak Prescott. They haven't had great chemistry up to this point, but now they're starting to work together well, and that's another reason why, for me, Dak Prescott is not the guy, because I need to see him develop a rapport with Dez Bryant, and they've definitely developed that rapport now. Just more reason to start Dak Prescott all the way. And Ezekiel Elliott made an impact in terms of the receiving game. Over 200 yards from scrimmage today for Ezekiel Elliott, and that's just absolutely tremendous. Cole Beasley, I mean, this guy, He's not very good, but he did okay, I guess. And I mean, really below average, but if you're okay with that, then you're okay with that. When it comes to their defense, they're missing Morris Claiborne, and that's not something I thought I would say before the season, but that's true. Morris Claiborne is out for a couple of weeks, probably 4 to 6 weeks with an injury. I thought they missed him today in the secondary, but despite that, they still won. And Sean Lee played pretty well. I mean, he was able to slow down Le'Veon Bell a good amount. And I'm about to get into Le'Veon Bell a little bit because I wasn't impressed with this game, honestly. But overall, the defense, they won the game, but they weren't that good. So they're still a little concerning. But again, the good thing for the Cowboys right now, no one in the NFC looks like they're going to be able to take advantage of this secondary. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he's not going to make the playoffs. Matthew Stafford and the Lions might, but will you face them? We'll see. So, I think it's a perfect storm right now for the Dallas Cowboys. Just an absolutely perfect storm. So when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, the team that I had going to the Super Bowl. Okay, number one, let's look at defensively. Your defense stinks, okay? Artie Burns. And let me tell you, his last name is appropriate because this guy gets burned time and time again. Got absolutely burned by Des Bryant in the late third quarter. Just awful coverage time and time again. The guy's been terrible. He was a first-round pick, 25th pick overall for the Steelers, and the guy has not been good at all. You look at Ryan Shazier, and I know he had a cute little tackle for loss in the fourth quarter. This guy is so overrated. You saw his bad coverage on Jason Witten on a key play at the end of the game. You saw him absolutely whiff on Ezekiel Elliott to give up that game-winning touchdown. The guy got mauled by Tyron Smith, took a horrible angle. You saw him take a poor angle on that Ezekiel Elliott screen touchdown. You saw him take poor angles all day. I don't know why people love Ryan Shazier. Because this guy, to me, he can get the nice little tackle for loss, make a nice little play here. But man, I think overall, I think he's just bad. I don't think he's good at all. I think he just gives you way more negative plays than he gives you positive plays. His game is like a roller coaster. There's really good plays, and then there's just awful plays. And the awful plays, to me, negate the good plays, and then there's more bad plays than good plays. That's what I see from Ryan Shazier. I think he's overrated. I get because he has nice speed, and he's versatile. Some people like him, but I don't think he's good at all. You look at James Harrison, actually had a good game today. I mean, despite his old age, he's still getting after the quarterback, but beyond him, no one could get after the quarterback relatively. I mean, there were some guys that got pressure, but I mean, they couldn't get pressure when they needed to most. At the end of the game, you have 42 seconds, sack, Dak Prescott, they couldn't do it. Their linebackers, I think, is the weakness of this defense, along with their cornerbacks, really just Artie Burns. I think Ross Cockrell and Sean Davis are fine. Sean Davis had the huge penalty, but I think he's fine. I just think Artie Burns stinks so bad. Defensive line, they could have got more pressure on Dak today, especially in the fourth quarter again when they needed to most. They couldn't do it. Unfortunate for them. But I think this Cowboys offensive line just kind of stops everybody. But at the same token, you just got to get after them. You just have to do it. They couldn't do it. Cameron Hayward, where were you? Your team needed you most. Where were you? I didn't see you. So, overall, and also Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell is a guy that we know he's talented. A lot of people try to make the argument that he's the best running back in the NFL. I don't think so. Look, he's very patient. He's a guy that, waits for holes to open up and then he hits the holes and he's very patient. But I think sometimes he's too patient. I think with this Cowboys defense, you don't need to try to juke people to make people miss. When there's a hole, just hit it. We saw Ezekiel Elliott do this at the end of the game. The hole was open, just hit it and run. I think Le'Veon Bell is sometimes just a little too patient, just looking for everything. He's very very smooth operator. But sometimes, dog, there's a hole, just hit the freaking hole. You don't need to always be dancing and looking for something and just like an ice skater. He's very smooth. But dude, just hit the damn hole. He needs to do that more consistently to me. He's not doing that enough for me. I think this Steelers run game needs to be better. It's not good enough right now. And their offensive line also, they need to be blocking better. They need to be opening up more holes for him. But I saw some holes that I just said, dog, just hit that hole, man. Just hit that hole. The hole's open, just hit it. And then sometimes he just doesn't do that. And then, outside of Antonio Brown, man, this Steelers receiving core just isn't very good. You look at Sammy Coates. You heard Ben Roethlisberger during the week. He was talking to Mike Tomlin saying a lot of these young guys don't want to win. I think he's talking about Sammy Coates as one of those guys. The guy's too inconsistent from play to play, and they just don't have a consistent number 2 weapon on this team. Unfortunately for them, that's just the case right now. And the Steelers, they're in trouble. Now, I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs, so I still have them in the playoffs. I still have them finishing 9-7, and that I think that's actually going to win the AFC North. I don't think the Ravens are very good at all. So I have the Steelers still making the playoffs, but in terms of going to the Super Bowl, I have to back off for that right now because they're just not on the Patriots level. And that's whose level everyone's trying to get to. They're not on the Patriots level, and they're not on the Raiders level either. So I think the Steelers right now, even though I had them going to the Super Bowl before the season, that's just not true right now. I don't see that happening right now at all. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on that game. Let's talk about the other afternoon games. Let's start with the Arizona Cardinals just edging out the San Francisco 49ers 23-20. And I don't know what the Cardinals are doing. There's no understanding this. When it comes to the 49ers, they were able to up their run defense. They're able to slow down David Johnson a good bit. He only got a little over 3 yards per carry, so that's a good run defense for them after just being gashed week after week in the run game. But, they just weren't able to win the game ultimately. Their defense wasn't able to stop the Cardinals when they needed to most. But I guess you have to be encouraged because you guys haven't been in a competitive football game for weeks. So I guess this is a positive takeaway. And Colin Kaepernick looked actually good, maybe even decent. But the problem is, do you really want to buy that? I think at this point, everyone's just kind of moved on. He's moved on. You've moved on. You're already looking at highlights of Mr. Trubisky and Deshaun Watson and Deshaun Kaiser. You're already doing that, okay? Because we know they're probably going to move on next season. So he had an okay game, but I don't think we really care. Carlos Hyde just got bottled up by this Cardinals run defense. But for the Cardinals, man, can y'all put up points? Can y'all do that? Next week, y'all go up against the Minnesota Vikings, and this game is going to be like 10-9. I mean, this game is going to be low scoring. I don't know who's going to win it. This Cardinals team, some believe they still have a chance to go to the playoffs. I don't think so. Today, they didn't convince me of anything. I'm not sure they're going to win next week. I might pick them, but I'm just not sure they're going to do it. And ultimately, this offense is just lackluster. Carson Palmer just not consistent enough. This whole offense just not consistent enough for me, and ultimately I think they're going to miss the playoffs. When it comes to the other afternoon game, another game that I got incorrect. Oh God, what a horrible week of picks. As the Dolphins defeat the San Diego Chargers, Phillip Rivers with a disastrous fourth quarter. I did not watch the game. I have to sit down and watch the game on Game Pass, but man, 4 interceptions is bad. And he does have these games like once a year, maybe twice a year, where he just has a bad game where he just kind of implodes. I think this was the game. Unfortunate for them. Some believe the Chargers had a chance to come back and make the playoffs. I never bought into that because I thought the margin for error was so small. I mean, they just couldn't afford to lose any games. Now they've lost the game and now they're out of it. I mean, just like no team in the AFC West is going to finish 9-7 other than them, and that's their best case scenario to me. I think easily the Broncos are 10-6 at least. I think easily the Raiders are 10-6 at least. I think easily the Kansas City Chiefs are 10-6 at least. So no wild card, no AFC West, no playoffs for the San Diego Chargers, but you still like to play of some guys like Joey Bosa and Tyrell Williams to give you faith and confidence for the future. The question is now, will Mike McCoy be your coach in the future? We don't know. We have to figure that out. We shall see. When it comes to the Miami Dolphins, another huge win. And again, this Dolphins team, they're not the same Dolphins team they were 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. They're good. They're actually good good now. Next week, they go to LA. They're going to beat LA. And they're going to re-energize and, reinvigorate and just thrust themselves back into the AFC wildcard contention. And I don't know if they're ultimately going to get into the spot because I think it's just going to be way too difficult with the way these AFC West teams are playing right now. But, they're in it, man, and that's something I didn't think would be true before the season, but it's true during the season, definitely. Ryan Tannehill actually had a damn good game today. I've been saying that he's just been, playing cheerleader for Jay Ajayi, just handing it off. Oh, hey, Jay Ajayi, doing a great job. No, today, Ryan Tannehill played well, and he deserves credit. I thought he actually played really well today from what I saw. Alright, so there you go. Those are my thoughts on the afternoon games. What are yours? Comment down below. I want to know if you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and most importantly to subscribe. And until next time, this has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. Peace.